Hey again, or still, because I'm just still recording. But in this one, I'm going to tell you my getting T-boned by my neighbor story, or the final nail in the coffin of why I decided to move away from my childhood home. This is going to be a little long, and it's kind of shaky doggy, because the front part, you're not going to understand where it comes in the back part, but bear with me. It will make sense. Okay, roll this back quite a bit before the actual accident. A few weeks before, I had received through the mail, and I still don't understand how they can do this, but hey, I noticed that I had committed a hit and run with someone else's car, and all they had was the license plate. So they sent me this notice. Actually, their insurance sent me the notice. I wouldn't have even found out from the cops, which is still mind-boggling. And they basically sent me a note saying, hey, we need you to pay up, da-da-da-da-da. And I said, okay, well, can you tell me what it was? Because I didn't hit anything as far as I know. And while they were getting some paperwork to me, I had an accident, well, not really an accident, he had an accident, a week before, and what happened with that, I was driving stupidly, I was in an area I didn't know, and I apparently caused someone else to have road rage. Oh, irony. And I was, getting in and out in a bad place with left turn lanes. I finally somehow got in the left turn lane to go back on the freeway because I was getting turned around, and it was one of those under overpass situations. Apparently the guy, though, I had gotten in front of, or behind, was super pissed off at me, though. Because it was just icy enough, if you didn't see the last video about rolling the car. When he hit the gas, essentially he spun out and hit one of those big light pole bases. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, holy shit. Because I wasn't sure how much at fault about that I was. Because I'm like, well, that kind of made him mad. So I pulled over for a second and watched him get out of his car. And he was like back there by about, 50 yards or so. And he's swearing and, giving me the bird. And I'm just like, yeah, I understand, buddy. Should I stay here? Do I go? And I left. Because I'm like, technically, you didn't cause an accident. And so I assumed that's what it was. I finally got the paperwork. And that's not what it is. I had another incident that week that I barely remembered. And essentially what happened was I was on the freeway, and I remember merging in or changing a lane and seeing the person in my rearview mirror spin out behind me. And I was like, oh, shit, that sucks. I suspect that person was the person that filed this claim. So they essentially said that I tagged them, my driver's side onto theirs, their rear, I think, and caused them to spin out. And that's why I was at fault. So I called Toledo Police Department, who are lovely. I was driving back and forth to Ohio 80 miles a day then. And I said, I don't have any damage, and I didn't hit him, and I don't know how someone can just randomly give you someone's license plate number, and you decide that that's right. And after a few phone calls, talking with Toledo Police Department's finest, they finally agreed, and they said, okay, here's what we're going to do for you, girl. If you can bring your car down here, at the same time he brings his car down here, we will look at both of your cars at the same time, and see if there's any damage. And if you're right, and there's no scratches and no damage, you can go. And I was like, okay, sounds good, let's do that. All right, here comes the T-boning part, and this will have an impact on that whole decision. One day, again, coming home from getting groceries, quick physiological geographic description. Where my house used to be was a hill, and we sort of lived in the middle of the hill. We lived across the road from the gun club, which is also kind of interesting in its own self. But anyway, we live in the middle of a hill. Traffic loves to shoot over the top of the hill at like 50. Traffic coming up from here, I can see. And I have a couple more neighbors on the side of the hill with us. So, sorry, I should leave this up. I'm going up here, and I look behind me, like I do every time I try to back in my damn driveway. I look behind me, it's clear behind me, and I start backing in. And I'm watching over my shoulder up the hill, because that's where someone's going to come and kill me, I assume. I'm watching up the hill, and my spouse says from his viewpoint, he literally saw me start backing, and the next thing I knew, I was like 40 feet up the street with another car on me. And that's essentially what happened from my perspective, too. I was backing up, and next thing I know, and I'm like, where did this car come from? There wasn't a car back there! I wouldn't have tried this maneuver if there was a car back there! Where did this car come from? I get calmed down. Fortunately, they hit me into the passenger side, so I could get out. I got out. This woman is flipping out. And this lady, this lady's flipping out. And she's like, can you get my son out of the car? Can you get my son out of the car? And I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to get sued for this. I don't want to get sued for this. I'm like, are you absolutely certain? You are giving me absolute verbal permission to take your son out of the car. She's like, yeah, take him out of the car. And I'm like, all right. And so I open it up, and this toddler is not actually belted into his car seat. I take him out anyway. decided it was worth the risk. Pull him out, walk him over to his mom, give him to his mom, do the usual, call the cops. Now this woman, I hate this woman to this day. She immediately starts asking me for stuff. Because we're in front of my house, right? You know. And she's like, can you get me a blanket? Can you get me some water? Can you get my kids something? Can you get the... I'm trying not to be a jerk because she has 2 little ones. She had a little girl on her side that she pulled out. And I was like, I won't be a dick. I'll get her some stuff. It'll be fine. I get her some stuff. She's on her side of the road over where the gun club is. And I'm over here where my house is. And the cops show up, as does the EMT. And the EMT goes over and talks to her first, which I was fine with, except the EMT, much like any other encounter I've had in a collision with an EMT, decided that if I am up and walking around, even though I'm the one that got hit, I'm obviously fine. And you do not need to come by and even give me a simple concussion check. So the EMT never talks to me, which is another beef. And while the cops are talking to her, I overhear her saying, oh, no, she started backing in front of me. You know, and she didn't have enough room to do it. And I was like, excuse me? And then I'm like, I'm going to just stay on your side of the driveway. Because otherwise I'm going to lose my temper at this woman. And I don't want to be the person who your mother hits that just screamed at your mother. But the funny thing was, you know, you overhear a lot of stuff while you're on the other side of the road and trying not to worry too much to the cop. And her little daughter starts saying something really weird like, Mommy, do we have to go to the hospital again? And I'm like, have you run this scam before? Later on, you found out she might have. But at this point, you're just sort of weirded out. And the cops come and they talk to each side. And literally, I'm pushed 40 feet uphill. And my husband's taking photos of the streak marks on the road in case something needs to be determined from this. And the cops are giving him looks. And we're like, I don't care, man. This one's going to take me to court. I'm going to have some evidence. Screw this. You guys obviously ain't doing a good investigation. So he does that, and the cops talk to me, and I tell them my side, and they look at the 2 of them, and they ticket her. And she leaves. Obviously, a bit pissed off at yours truly. And my car, in the middle of this, that she hit, is now totaled. And in addition to dealing with a wrecker driver who threatened to put my car on his wrecker, which would require $100 for me to take off, even though I told him I will push my car back into the driveway. It's right there. I can just push it. Oh, no, I got to take stuff from the exit. Anyway, he was a jerk. So we pushed the car back in. And of course, I have this appointment tomorrow to go talk to Toledo Police Department and show them that my car is fine. So we call our own wrecker. And of course, you have to take the car to the body shop so that, you know, some independent third party can verify that, yes, indeed, it will not go to Ohio today. And I called them up. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And I am not lying. I will get you as much evidence as I can give you. But my car was T-boned on Sunday backing into my own damn driveway. And thankfully, TPD was actually very understanding. They took a lot of body pictures. They took, we had pictures of both sides anyway before it was hit. And our body shop guy took a bunch of pictures of the damage side. And he's like, look, I can't let this out of here. It's going to a junkyard. And so they were cool. And the other thing about that particular incident, a little bit later in the process, the person who claimed I tagged them actually said, well, she cut me off, causing me to spin out. And I was like, well, which is it, buddy? Did I hit you or did I cut you off? I think both are nonsense, so no, I did neither of those. And TPD thought the same. Now, as for my former neighbor, she's a lovely piece of work. In the middle of that whole conversation transaction, I found out, because I assumed she wasn't my neighbor and maybe she didn't know that there were people that live on this side of the hill. No. She was actually coming from her grandma's, who had bought a house 2 doors down from me. And she lived on the other side of the hill, about, 5 houses down that way. So it's not like you don't know there's people that live on this hill. Oh my God. So our theory, which we never did get proven, is that she came out of her grandparents' driveway, her son was unbuckled, and she turned around to talk to him and or yell at him, and she took enough eyes off the road at that point that when she turned back, because she did hit the brakes, you can tell from the marks, all she had time to was hit the brakes, and the next thing she knows, we were in collision. That's what I think happened. However, she's really fun. I got a call from her insurance company a few months later, and they're like, hey, she's telling us this and this about the accident. Can you give us, your side of the story? And I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you, she is a liar. She will lie to you soon as breathing. Do not trust that lady. And I ran down my side of it. I'm like, if you want pictures, you want anything, you just call me. I hate this woman. I ain't happy with her. And she was finally the straw that got me to move. Because I lived in my area. I loved my childhood home. I loved where I, grew up. But when we bought it, it was country. And then, kind of like Aspen, Colorado, all the rich people saw it and they're like, oh, this is nice. Yeah, now it's not nice because you've all moved out here and ruined it. And then you drive like idiots. So that's my T-bone story. And thank God Ohio dropped the charges. The only super duper downside was I barely had this car. Like, I think I had this car 2 months. And I loved that car. The only thing wrong with my Mustang, or not Mustang, I'm sorry, Mercury Cougar, was the cup holders. Because they had like a little tiny like plastic thing like this that you were somehow supposed to balance on like an edge of another plastic seatbelt thing and not spill. And when you only had one. But, oh my gosh, it was a beautiful car. And I was so mad at my neighbor. I'm so mad at my neighbor, if you can't tell. I actually considered one holiday actually writing a Christmas letter. The first time I moved up here and being like, thank you for hitting me. So now I finally got to move away because you are such a... People are wonderful. So yeah, that's my T-boning story. I got T-boned backing into my own driveway. On the plus side though, as my chiropractor pointed out, because I was looking uphill and away from the source of the impact, I probably am significantly less damaged than I would be if I had had the second or two to turn around, because your body stiffens. That's how drunk drivers survive drunk driving accidents. They're all like limp as a noodle. That's what happens. So he's like, look at the bright side. You've only got hip dysplasia. And now I have hip dysplasia in both hips thanks to the rollover. But, he's like, it could have been a lot worse. And I'm like, yeah, I know. People are so damn stupid. So anyway, that's that story. And now that I remember it, I think I will try to fit in the next video the one and... Well, no, not the one and only road rage story I have of people following me and trying to kill me. But the one where they followed me back to my house, which was new. So, yeah, let's get to that.